there, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett at 7:30 on this Wednesday, October 23rd. Trucking right along. It's a nice morning out there. This morning on Breakfast, we are talking live with a doctor from Orlando Health about SUID and SIDS awareness. That is something that we're learning more about right now, whether it's changes in recommendations, talking about specific products to use or not use. And so we're looking forward to some more information about that, especially if you have a baby in your household or in your loved ones or friends' households. Great information we're going to share with you in a little bit. But first, though, let's get you ready with getting out the door. And that involves weather and traffic. So let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos in the Pinpoint Weather Center. And
Mhm.
so this is just really lovely weather we're having, getting a few sprinkles here and there,
Yeah. Yeah.
really
You're
mild.
welcome. You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. At the end of the day, we always talk about how, let me grab my clicker. I always forget it over here. We always talk about how we deserve this weather. It's always hot, it's always muggy. We deal with tropical systems. We have we love Florida. I love living here in Florida, but the summers, they test you. They really
Oh,
do, don't they?
and we still have a month of hurricane season to get through. So
Okay, fine.
that
We'll
part.
talk about that later on
Oh boy.
in this little webcast. I promise. It's nothing to scare people. It's not something that we need to be concerned about. But it is something that is a little reminder. The little, hurricane season
Not over.
lingers till the end of November. It's not over just yet. So let's talk about what we can expect, and that is going to be some really nice weather over the next couple of days. Right now, looking at those temperatures out the door, we are into those upper 60s to low 70s. You can see 70 in Orlando, Titusville. Good morning to you at 73. The Villages, Leesburg, Lake County, right now in those upper 60s. Now, as we progress into the afternoon, temperatures will continue to climb up into those mid 80s. So we're talking about 84 to about 85 degrees. So breezy. A few isolated showers can't be ruled out, but we are going to be watching for the approach of another cold front that comes in late tomorrow and into Friday. It's going to come through with very little fanfare, maybe a little bit of cloud cover, maybe a little rain, but no significant rainfall and no real significant swing in temperatures behind it. And that's okay, right? At the end of the day, if we can just stay where we are right now, where it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just right. This is what we should be feeling like as we end October and move into November. But as we move into November, we are going to be watching the Caribbean. There's no specific shower system, thunderstorms, none of that we're actually tracking right now. This is all something that will start to develop as we move in from Halloween into November. In the meantime, though, it's going to be another nice stretch of weather. You can see mix of sun and clouds into the day, a few passing clouds, a few passing showers can't be ruled out. And it's going to be that strong northeast breeze that, again, is going to be keeping the shower chances in place. Also roughing up our surf a little bit. We do have a small craft advisory and a risk of rip currents there. You can see there by the end of this frame here, after about sundown Thursday and into Friday morning, we're going to watch a little bit of cloud cover come through. And that's going to be the arrival of our next cold front. And that, again, is going to be reinforcing this nice air. 85 will be your high today. Rain chances at only 20%. But this is kind of the wide view. We've got tons of dry air in place. So a couple scattered showers, they're going to be very shallow. They're not going to be producing a lot. But as that cold front comes through, you can see Oscar there pushing away from the eastern seaboard. We've got that area of low pressure, again, pushing away. High pressure builds in. A nice setup over the next couple of days. Mix of sun and clouds, looking relatively dry and comfortable as we head into your weekend. All right, so let's talk tropics real quick. Everyone take a deep breath in, deep breath out. This is not something we need to be worried about right now. Is there a potential that we could have something develop by Halloween in the southwestern part of the Caribbean? Yes, there is a chance. How much of a chance? Between about a 30 to 40% shot of seeing something. Basically, what we've been tracking and something that we've been talking about here on News 6 and, of course, on clickorlando.com, consistency in trends builds a little more confidence. So GFS, for instance, that goes out several days further than some others, have been picking up some signatures that show the potential for some sort of tropical activity in the southern Caribbean Sea. Now, with that being said, that's all we have confidence on. Where it goes, exactly where it develops, that is all still up in the air. But at the end of the day, November, these are the zones we tend to see development possible really across southwestern Caribbean Sea, over Cuba, into the Bahamas. So it's a very kind of close area here that we tend to track systems. So with that being said, is there something that you need to be running out to the store to get? Absolutely not. Do we know if it's coming here? Absolutely not. But could there be something developing in the Caribbean? Sure. And that won't be until the beginning of November. So we got a while to watch this. But
Okay.
again, that's just kind of that little whisper in your ear that hurricane season is still there. We can't completely let our guards down. But in the meantime, though, sit back, relax, enjoy this weather, embrace it. It looks like we could be actually holding on to this really nice mid 80 dry, breezy weather throughout most of next week, even into Halloween. So if you want to
Mm-hmm.
test run possibly your Halloween costume, maybe you want to walk around the neighborhood today with your costume on, see how you like it with the temperatures. I think today is going to be a good feel for what we will be experiencing by Thursday.
Okay, that's good
Yeah.
news. That's pretty good news.
I have a heavy Olaf jumpsuit that I'm debating
Is it
whether or not. So
heavy?
I don't it
Is the
looks heavy.
material, yeah,
It looks
not
heavy.
breathable?
Yeah. I told my daughter, I was like, "Do you want me to be Olaf?" She goes, "Are you just gonna do a t-shirt?"
Oh,
I was like, I guess not doing that. You got to enjoy it while they still want to dress up and want to, be associated with you. So I might just go
yeah,
for it. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
We'll
we're
see. Are
looking
you, are
forward to
you
those
going to dress
pictures.
up? Are you going to dress up?
I'm usually one of those like creative types who will
Mm-hmm.
concoct something at some
Last
point.
minute.
So yeah,
Okay.
but they have some costumes that they haven't really worn yet. So we're going to reach into that supply
I
and
love
see
a, I
what they're gonna
love a
do.
good, yeah, I love a good
We've
recycled.
got
We did that.
Tiana, we've got the Disney Prince, we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
There's a lot to choose from. So
We got to
we've
recycle.
got a various assortment of wigs. We're just gonna
Mm.
put something together.
You know what? I believe in you. I believe you're very artsy crafty. But yesterday, my youngest had her last preschool trick or treating event, and we did one that was
Yeah,
a hand me down, and it was like I think it was called like woodland deer, but we called it Bambi.
it
So
was
she was feeling
cute.
she was feeling her Bambi. Yeah, she did look really cute. And then my older daughter, she's doing a old costume of mine when I was her age. So I love a
Yes.
good vintage or recycled thing. So I can't wait to see what you come
And
up
did
with,
you
Bridget.
convince your husband to do the was it the
Mm,
Hunchback?
the Hunchback. He doesn't know it's coming in the mail today.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, in solidarity of in that Olaf jumpsuit, I think he has to. So,
right? Last year they were the Wizard of Oz, and I might have gotten a very funny, sad looking lion ear and tail for him, and he said absolutely not. So he wore a brown t-shirt.
I know that, but I know you were I gotta go, but I know you were pulling for Annie as the theme this year, but then
I
that kind of fell
was. I
through.
was. I love a good musical.
Yep.
Who knows?
Yep.
Maybe next year.
You could
Fingers
still go as Annie.
crossed. Randomly
Okay.
come out as Annie. All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Candace.
Bye.
All right, let's check on the roads too. Trooper Steve is off, but Crystal is standing by because she can do it. Oh, good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. I want to get in on this Halloween costume
Yeah.
chat here because
What's up?
you guys have named some really unique costumes. My most creative costume in college one year, I was swag. And I know what you're thinking. How in the heck do you
Like
create a swag
all the
costume?
freebie stuff you get at a
No,
convention kind of thing.
no joke here. I did a purple tank top. I spray glittered the entire thing, and then I ironed on like a light switch. Get it? Turn your swag on or off, and it was in the on position. My swag was on. Thank you, Candace. Candace is
That that was
the
that was a
flatty.
lyric. What song was that? That lyric. There was a lyric.
Um,
Get
I
your
don't
turn your
know, but
swag
it's like
on.
turn your swag on.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Mhm.
let's get to traffic because
Okay.
the
I'm
swag is
gonna
not
work on that while you
on
do
the
the traffic.
roadways.
Okay. Okay.
So let's get to the maps here. We are dealing with some pretty bad traffic out there in Orange County. This is in the Ocoee area. A crash has blocked some lanes along the 429. This is heading southbound just before you hit Plant Street. Traffic backed up for 6 miles. Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't hate the messenger here. So heading over to the DOT cameras, here's a live look, 429 and Apopka Road. Bumper to bumper right now as you're traveling southbound. You're moving at about 25 miles per hour, stop and go in some spots. Again, we're going to take a look at how bad the traffic is. This is near 429 Plant Street. How high? 6 hills up past McCormick that you're seeing that red. And if you're thinking about taking Apopka Road as an alternate route, think again. You're moving 10 miles per hour. Again, heavy traffic along that alternate route. So if you don't have to be on the road, just stay home. Just let this pass for a while and then get on the roadways. If you do need to use 429, get out the road now. Do not stop and get that coffee because you will be running late. Here are your drive times if you're traveling 429 southbound. This is between Maitland and Plant Street, 30 minutes, folks. So definitely allow some extra time if you're traveling through the Ocoee area because of that wreck. There's another crash over here, Silver Star Road, eastbound at Powers Drive. 2 lanes are blocked there. Traffic is starting to recover, which is some good news. And then heading on over to I-95. You're looking good if you're up in Volusia County, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, all the way down towards Brevard. You are looking delay-free over towards Melbourne if you're traveling near I-95 and 192. No delays to report. Now, if you're traveling along I-4 east and westbound, we are starting to see those heavy delays build over the north end of I-4. This is in Seminole County. If you're traveling near Sanford, Lake Mary, what?
You can talk back up.
Oh, okay. Sanford, Lake Mary. You're moving at 20 miles per hour, heading south towards the downtown area. Not bad. But to get there, you will see some traffic. Here are your drive times. I-4 westbound between 417, State Road 50, 35 minutes, 28 minutes heading eastbound between Osceola Parkway and State Road 50. Marion County, Sumter County, green light ride. You're looking pretty good. Your drive times, if you're trying to head towards Ocala, not bad. Pulling them up right now, a 41-minute ride along the turnpike between I-4 and I-75, 19 minutes once you hop onto I-75 between the turnpike and State Road 40. And Bridgett, 429 is just the big issue right now, and it has been all morning long. So definitely allow some extra time. I know those kids trying to get to school right now, it is just going to be a mess.
All right. Well, thanks, Crystal, for that update. We'll see you a little bit later.
Keep your swag on, Bridgett.
I know. It was Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy, tell us.
Oh, Soldier Boy. Okay.
All right. That takes us back. All right. Thanks, Crystal. All right. We do want to get to a few headlines, and then we have a live interview with a doctor from Orlando Health coming up to tell us about SUID and SIDS awareness. That is in a little bit. But first, some pretty shocking testimony yesterday in the suitcase murder trial. Sarab Boon took the stand in her own defense, and Angie Casada has more.
Hours of testimony from Sarab Boon Tuesday afternoon as she took the stand in her own defense for the 2020 death of her boyfriend, George Torres. Boon, accused of leaving Torres in a suitcase after a drunken game of hide and seek went terribly wrong.
So at some point, did you zip him up?
Yes.
Did you? And what was he saying or doing when you were zipping him up?
We just thought it was funny.
Were you both laughing?
Yes.
Boon even showing the jurors just how she closed the bag with Torres inside.
Did you believe that he could breathe in there?
Yes.
Did you ever believe he could die in there?
No. At all.
Were you trying to kill him?
Never.
Did you want to kill him?
I did not.
Boon says Torres began threatening her and says she believes she prevented him from attacking her.
My fear was that he was going to break out of the suitcase knowing that it was a broken suitcase.
Boon left Torres inside the suitcase despite his plea and telling her clearly that he couldn't breathe.
Cara, I can't breathe, baby.
That's on you.
It's an eerie story. We are continuing to follow what's happening in the courtroom. Angie will have more updates a little bit later today on News 6 at noon. You can also follow along on clickorlando.com. And now to a warning about flesh-eating bacteria, and this all ties back to all that water that came in from Hurricane Milton. You know, we talked about flooding concerns for homes and businesses, but it's also this water's not healthy as well. So Troy Campbell did talk to an expert about why you should be careful with some of the stagnant water.
Do you think people should look at this? We look at the water as snakes, alligators. Consider this as just as dangerous.
I would say consider this as just as dangerous for sure.
Seminole County Medical Director Dr. Todd Husty says something from Hurricane Helene or Milton could be lurking in sitting water, Vibrio vulnificus, also known as flesh-eating bacteria. In fact, the Florida Department of Health issued an alert for a spike in cases since Helene. What would be your message to people when it comes to getting near it?
So you really need to be careful. You know, if you have cuts or scrapes or something, you really shouldn't be in the water. If you're in the water and you get a cut or scrape, you need to go and get out of the water and wash it really well.
Florida Department of Health has recorded 74 cases statewide so far this year and 13 deaths, including 2 in Seminole County.
The deaths are not surprising knowing necrotizing fasciitis. Number one, people don't recognize that little red painful bump is anything spectacular, but it is. So it's a red bump over a little scratch of your skin and you've been in dirty water. Pay attention to it because 1 out of 3 or maybe 1 out of 4 people die.
Dr. Husty says it's critical to receive treatment immediately. Your safest bet, stay out of shallow sitting water. In Orange County, Troy Campbell, Getting Results, News 6.
One more thing to keep in mind, you know, we talked about the mosquitoes as well, but we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back with Dr. Rachel Preddy to talk about SUID and SIDS Awareness Month. Welcome back. We want to talk about an awareness for this month. We talked about a lot of things, but today it's about SUID and SIDS awareness. And we have Dr. Rachel Preddy back with us today, a safe sleep expert and pediatrician with Orlando Health. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
It's good to see you. And we were chatting before the start of the show, and you were telling me about SUID plus SIDS. And so for those who are mostly just familiar with SIDS, sort of explain the other term of SUID and why it's added on to this when we talk about awareness.
Sure. So SUID stands for sudden unexplained infant death. And for, many years, we've all talked about SIDS, sudden infant death. But I think what it really boils down to is SIDS is a part of SUID, meaning we don't really know why babies die in their sleep sometimes. And so the unexplained part is important because what we are doing is looking back and seeing what were the things that potentially could have caused this infant's death and making recommendations to try and minimize people doing those behaviors with their own infants.
What have been some of the findings over the years? I know this campaign, one of the main things people think about is back to sleep. And so that means, putting the baby on their back to sleep. What have we learned about some of those causes of those infant deaths?
Right. So some of the new recommendations are that infants don't wear hats when they're indoors. Overheating has been associated very closely with infant death or SUID. So people think that babies are cold because they kind of shake a little bit, but that's just their immature nervous system. And so we don't recommend hats anymore for babies while they're inside. If you're outside and it's cold, we live in Florida, not always cold yet. So don't even need a hat outside. But if you're inside, your baby should not be wearing a hat. And a good kind of barometer of what to use for temperature wise is 1 extra layer than you and I would be comfortable in as an adult. Okay. It's all your baby needs. They don't need several layers of clothing and then several blankets. That increases their risk of sudden infant death.
And we talk about how we grew up and then versus now. And when you think about a nursery, when you think about the crib, I think about all the stuffed animals and the blankets and the comforter sets.
And the bumpers. My kids all had bumpers.
Yeah. So what is it that we have to sort of make sure we stay aware about in terms of, getting the nurseries ready and the cribs ready, whether it's our house or, grandma and grandpa's house, the things that shouldn't have?
Yeah, so I mean, everybody loves an adorable, picturesque crib, right? With the beautiful bumpers and the stuffed animal in the corner and the luscious, thick blanket.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, we don't want that. We want just a plain crib, firm mattress. People like to think their babies are uncomfortable because the mattress seems so firm. They're laying babies on pillows. So no, we just want a firm mattress with a nice fitted sheet, and that's it. And actually, the new recommendation is to use a swaddle blanket instead of a regular blanket. The thick blankets are beautiful, but they are a true suffocation hazard. If the baby moves and the blanket kind of falls over their face, then they are at risk for suffocation versus a lighter blanket, a thinner blanket, or the swaddle blankets are great because you basically kind of wrap the baby up and the blanket has a very little risk of covering their face.
Mm-hmm. When we think about those products, like the blankets and swaddling, you're saying that those specific swaddle type products are actually a little bit more helpful and probably safer than just trying to do it with a regular blanket.
They are. And, they're very affordable. You can find them for very inexpensive, online or any of your local stores. But that is a new recommendation actually from the American Academy of Pediatrics to use swaddle blankets in lieu of a regular receiving blanket.
Yeah. And when we think about it, like you said, those other products we talked about around the crib and everything, but even some of the things we put the baby in, like the rockers and the bouncers. I remember my daughter, she's 8 now, but she loved that rock and play, which ended up being recalled.
Yeah.
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 But then my son, he was born 2 years later. He hated it anyway. So, but these types of things they can be dangerous just because if the baby's not strong enough yet to be able to move their whole body. Is that right?
Right. So we really don't recommend babies sleep in any of these rocking devices, swings, even car seats. You have to think about the position of the baby is kind of crunched over, and babies really don't have necks. So when they're crunched over, they have a more likelihood of kind of obstructing their airway. Actually the biggest risk for SIDS, which is usually very kind of shocking to people, is falling asleep with a baby in your arms. We all do it. I mean, I can think back, my kids are 18 and 21. I can think back to how many nights I totally fell asleep holding my baby and waking up in a panic because again, kind of when you're holding a baby, you get tired, you fall asleep, your arm kind of relaxes, and the baby's head kind of falls forward. And that has really been shown to cause a serious increased risk of SIDS. And it's just like human nature. You're tired, you're trying to rock a baby. But really the biggest education is if you are tired, you have to put that baby down and just rock them from the side because if there's a potential of you falling asleep, that's even more dangerous for your baby.
And when we talk about them being able to roll over on their own, so they're supposed to be on their backs to sleep until they can roll over on their own. The rollover, them being able to hold their head up happens before being able to roll over. What's sort of the age range on those different milestones?
Right. So, I mean, if you put even a newborn baby can kind of lift his head up a little bit, can't hold it up for too long. But, over the 2 to 3 months of age, you'll start seeing your baby, do tummy time and kind of raise their head and hold it for extended periods of time. But really closer to that 3, 4, 5 month when the baby can roll themselves over is when we really think it's safe to leave them. Now, we always recommend putting the baby on their back to sleep, right?
Okay.
So even if they're 6 months old, putting the baby to sleep on their back, they roll themselves over, you can leave them. But in the beginning, we don't ever really want you to be the determining factor of when the baby's safe to sleep on their stomach. When they can do it on their own, then you can leave them.
And so for that challenge of just trying to get the routine, you're not getting a lot of sleep. Are there any other tips and tricks you have, beyond the safety, but just trying to get a better routine with the sleep with the little one?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think, the biggest thing is use your resources. If you have a team approach with a significant other, take turns. But, keeping the baby in your room is the recommendation, at least for the first 6 months to a year, in a separate sleeping space. So, like you mentioned, routine is the biggest thing, making sure you're trying to just like you and I in our circadian rhythm, kind of create that circadian rhythm for the baby. So trying to have them more wakeful time during the day, although we all love a good nap when our kids take a great nap during the day. If they're napping all day, they're going to be up at nighttime. So using your resources, using your spouse or your significant other to, tag team, each of you take turns, getting up for that first feed or that second feed or whatever it is, because we all know, we've all been there. It's exhausting. And I always joke with my families when I'm, educating them with their newborns in the hospital, like, you're in survival mode for the next few months, right? So just do all the things that you can know to keep your baby safe, and know it's going to get better, right?
Yeah.
But those first few months can be very, very challenging.
For sure. And Dr. Preddy, where do you recommend more information if folks want to study up and share these details?
For sure. The newest guidelines are posted on the American Academy of Pediatrics website. That's great information for families. So you can just do a quick search for that online, and you'll be inundated with a lot of great information.
All right, Dr. Preddy. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to share this with us for SUID and SIDS awareness. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me.
Soon. All right.
Okay, sounds great.
Speaking of babies, you need to help baby Reese pick out his Halloween costume because it is coming up soon. You have about 6 more days left to vote, and the choices are dinosaur, dragon, chicken, and lion. Look at lion. Lion, that's got to be the front runner. I need to check in and find out from the web team what's leading. But go to clickorlando.com/first-Halloween to select your favorite, and we'll let you know right before Halloween which one Haley will be dressing baby Reese in for Halloween. But you can't lose. But I mean, the cuteness overload is right there. You can vote every day if you want to, so check it out. That's going to do it for breakfast. I'll see you back here at noon and tomorrow at 7:30. Have a great day.